Hey everybody, it's Ron from Pick Dawgz, and this is Ron's Big Shot Breakdown. We're going to go over 5 college basketball games for Thursday, January 2nd, 2024. Now, if you like what you see, make sure to give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to put your college basketball picks in the comments section below. And if you're looking for my best bets, the games I love the most in college hoops and other sports, you can find those at the Premium Picks tab at pickdawgz.com. There's also a link in the description. Alrighty, here we go. Here are the games for Thursday in college hoops. First up, we have Troy and Appalachian State. This one is going to be 6:30 Eastern on ESPN+. I'm going to start by saying this is a pretty nice card in college basketball in terms of the amount of games that we have, but I do think there are a lot of challenging games and games where we see the line just right where it needs to be, not a ton of value in those situations. So I'll be treading lightly more so in a card like this than I usually would. But when you look at this matchup, Appalachian State has lost 3 straight games. And 2 of those losses, not bad. On the road against North Texas by 4 points. The other one, a neutral site game against High Point by 6. But the loss at Louisiana, that's not a great one for App State to take in their first conference game of the season. And I just don't love the form from this team right now and the matchup. When you look at both of these teams, they've had issues taking care of the basketball. Troy's turned the ball over about 23% of their possessions. App State right at 20.1%. But Troy's defense is really aggressive, and they do a great job at forcing turnovers. They force them about 21% of their defensive possessions, while App State just can't compete there. So I still think Troy wins the turnover battle. I also think they win the rebounding battle. Troy, one of the best offensive rebounding teams in the nation. Troy's a solid defensive team, one of the better mid-major defenses in college basketball. They've won 3 straight games. Granted, 2 of those were subdivision wins, but I still think they're in better form overall. I'm going to go with Troy in this one and lay the points. Next up, we'll go to the Big Ten as Northwestern takes on Penn State. This one's 7 p.m. Eastern on Peacock. Now, Northwestern has done well this season, and they played in a lot of close games. They're 10-3 straight up, and their 3 losses were by 5 points, 2 points, and 1 point, and all those to good teams in Dayton, Butler, and Iowa. And I think this one is probably going to be a close one as well. And Northwestern also 2-0 straight up in overtime games this season. I think it bodes well for the Wildcats. Penn State, this is a team I mentioned early in the season. I like this team defensively, very aggressive. They implement that Mike Rhodes classic aggressive defense that forces a lot of turnovers. They're right now 7th in the country in turnover percentage defensively, but Northwestern does an excellent job at taking care of the ball. They only turn the ball over about 13% of their possessions. That's 5th best in the country. So Penn State's biggest strength defensively may not show up in a game like this. I think Northwestern keeps this one very close. Should be a classic Big Ten game. I think it's going to be a lower scoring game, honestly. I would lean towards the under, but I'm going to go with Northwestern plus the points and a sprinkle on the money line. Next up, it's Purdue and Minnesota. This one is going to be an 8 p.m. Eastern start time on Fox Sports 1. Yeah, Minnesota is 8-5 straight up this season, but one of the worst against the spread teams in college basketball. I don't think they get a cover in this game either, even at home. I think Purdue rolls to a double-digit win. Minnesota and teams that struggle against the spread or are on ATS losing streaks are usually teams I look towards because I do look for good situations and spots where we can get great prices with teams that maybe aren't doing the best as of late. But this matchup just does not benefit Minnesota, in my opinion. I don't think they can go shot for shot with Purdue. Purdue has a great backcourt, one of the best three-point shooting teams in the country. They're taking more threes this year. Makes sense as Zach Edey's no longer there, so not taking as many twos. But Purdue, I think if they can get hot early in this game from the floor, Minnesota won't be able to keep up. I mean, Dawson Garcia, a very talented player, one of the best players in this conference and really in the country. But Minnesota is just too much of a one-man show for me. Against Fairleigh Dickinson and Morgan State, you can get away with that. But against Purdue, an underrated defense and a potent offense, I think Minnesota really struggles here. And one of the worst three-point shooting teams and free throw shooting teams in the country in Minnesota. Give me Purdue in this one. I'm going to lay the points. Next up, Sam Houston taking on New Mexico State. This one 9 p.m. Eastern on ESPN+. Should be a great game here. This is always a fun matchup as Jason Hooten takes on his former team. He was the coach of Sam Houston from 2011 to 2023, and he had some nice seasons with the Bearcats and implemented that really aggressive defensive style where it forces a lot of turnovers. Sam Houston continuing that kind of game plan with their 61st right now in the nation in defensive turnover percentage. But for me, I'm looking at the total in this game. I like the over. Jason Hooten's New Mexico State team this year has not been great defensively. They're not forcing as many turnovers. They're still taking a lot of fouls. They've had big-time discipline issues, and they are giving up a lot of easy looks. In terms of shot quality, one of the worst defensive teams in the country. So I think Sam Houston scores at will. But on the flip side, I think because of Sam Houston's pretty fast-paced offensively, aggressive defense, and also discipline issues, taking a lot of fouls, we should see both teams at the free throw line very often. I think we see a lot of whistles that stop the game, but also give these teams free buckets. And I think similar to what we saw in New Mexico State and Abilene Christian, that was a game that was actually low scoring in the beginning because both teams just could not hit a shot early in the game. It still ended up going over at 78-70 because in the final 5 minutes or so, it was just all whistles, all free throws for both teams, and they got over. I think we see something similar, but I think we start a little bit better in this one. Give me the over. Next up, it's Illinois and Oregon. This one, 10 p.m. Eastern on Fox Sports 1. This should be an excellent game. I think it's going to be decided late, but I like Illinois in this one, surprisingly, because at the beginning of the year, I mentioned that because of Illinois' lack of experience, D1 experience, that I think they're going to struggle in a lot of these true road games and neutral site games when we get to the Big Ten Conference Tournament. And not because they're not talented, but because they do lack in that experience. It's what we saw from Kentucky last year, which was one of the more talented teams in the country in terms of NBA talent, and they lost in the first round of the tournament. But Illinois, I think, matches up so well in this game that I'm not too worried about it being on the road. This is a strong defense. Defense travels, and they're a great rebounding team, which is important against Oregon. They do a great job of taking care of the basketball, which is also really important against the Ducks. So for me, in a close game late, I trust the better defense. I think Illinois is going to be able to force tougher shots. I think they're also going to be able to make more threes in this game because while their three-point percentage as a team isn't excellent, they take so many of them that they can be a lethal team at times when they are red hot from the perimeter. And I look for Illinois to win this game on the money line. I think we're getting a really good price with the Illini. I give credit to Oregon for having this record despite such a tough schedule, ranked 39th in strength of schedule so far. But I do think they're a little bit overrated and overvalued. Give me Illinois in this one on the money line. And that's it. Those are the games for Thursday in college basketball. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. Put those college basketball picks in the comment section below. Again, if you're looking for my best bets, you can find those at Pick Dawgz Premium. As always, this is Romanelli. Good luck.